Fit for Life Radio, episode number 124. Gary and Will, we're here.
We're live. Well, not live, but...
And it's just us two.
Just the two of us.
Today, we're going to be talking about the exercises we think everyone should be doing.
Yeah. And by everyone, we mean, well, a lot of people. But
most
generally,
people.
Like, your average person that is not competing in a specific sport.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Gen Pop.
Gen Pop.
You're looking for, strength, being physically capable in your everyday life, losing fat, gaining muscle, and just training in general.
Training to be capable of, I don't know, whatever activities you would like to be able to do.
So, and it's interesting because, we have the gym, which is group training, and a lot of the exercises we do weren't normally done in that kind of boot camp or group training type arena,
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of exercises that people see and want to do that probably they have no business doing.
Yeah.
Or especially then when you factor in people's lifestyle goals, time commitments. And, that makes sense. That's with anything, right? You could be watching a cooking show and you see this fancy meal and that's what you want to cook, right? But you can't even make toast.
Yeah. And you realize there's like 9 techniques you got to learn to be able to do this.
And special equipment and...
Yeah, and it's just, do you want to invest the time? If you do, great. But most people aren't going to have that kind of time to get to that level, which is fine.
And then in the fitness industry, the main thing is one of the biggest kind of lines in the sand that we see is, you had the big barbell lifts. And at one point...
The big 3, man.
Yeah, that's what everyone had access to was a barbell and weights. So those exercises became like, oh, you have to do
They're
these.
the staples.
But there is, issues with using a barbell in that it fixes your grip in, your path. So if you kind of don't fit... your structure doesn't lend itself.
Or your mobility level, especially in this day and age.
Then it's putting you in a lot of compromising positions. Whereas, so we'll talk about, we'll dive into the exercises.
Our favorites for most people.
So we're talking about resistance training because you need equipment to do it. Or if you don't need equipment, you can use your body weight. And we've talked about this in past podcasts. The reality with that is that's actually can be very advanced, to be able to do push-ups and dips and chin-ups and levers and all these body weight exercises. You need to be able to master your body weight, which for most people, that's going to be super hard.
Yeah, and think about this, like
there's no progression.
You need we'll say an optimal body composition. Like you do need a decently low body fat percentage overall because you're using your body weight, right? So just if you take an example of someone that's 100 pounds overweight, well, asking them to do a push-up compared to somebody who is, just, 15% body fat. Like that's a monumental ask of that person.
Yeah.
And a very advanced thing to do. You wouldn't throw somebody on a bench press just like, hey, why don't you bench 350 the first time they're doing it? So a lot of body weight exercises are like that. And a lot of people that do gravitate towards it are people that are leaner. They're kind of built for it. And I think
they start when they're young. Like gymnasts.
Yeah. And so like you've been doing it since you were 10 and you've all, go to the park, do your pull-ups, your push-ups, all of that, which is great for you.
Well, you've done it over so much time. You've built the prerequisite tendon, ligament, joint strength versus jumping right in. So... yeah, so you want to do some resistance training. You need to do your full body. You want to work all, your major movements and muscle groups. So you need kind of like a pushing exercise to work your chest, shoulder, tricep, pressing type anterior muscles. And then pulling. So posterior,
backside,
upper body, row. And then lower body, kind of like a hinge and a knee bend type exercise.
So hinge being something where you push your hips backwards, like a deadlift or a kettlebell swing or something like that.
And then a knee bend being more of a squat type exercise. So when you take those categories into consideration, tools that are available in general to everyone, what we've come up with is For the pressing, we like a dumbbell press.
Mm-hmm.
For the pulling, we like a one-arm dumbbell row. For the hinge, we like a trap bar deadlift or even a kettlebell deadlift. And then for the knee bend, we like a split squat, variation of a split squat. So yeah, you do those 4 things. It kind of covers everything.
You get that's at its base level. If you did that, you would probably be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just those 4. There's other stuff most people probably want to work on, but that is a perfect foundation. And a lot like those exercises, the risk associated with them and how accessible they are to people. They're very accessible versus some of the more traditional barbell movements.
And then another key element is they're also very progressible.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a negative to you say, yeah, what about push-up? Well, push-up is going to be advanced for most people. It's also not going to be very progressible.
It's hard to quantify the weight on a push-up, right? We can change the angle of our body.
And you can just do more reps, but you can't do more reps forever.
Exactly. And then the reality is it's way easier to just move up in weight on a dumbbell press. You can move up 2.5 or 5 pounds over time, and that's way easier to track.
Yeah. So the reason we like these, we'll break it down. So the dumbbell press, say versus a barbell press or anything like that, is the dumbbell, you have kind of freedom of motion at your elbows and wrists. You're not fixed in. So think about, and I wish visually we could show this, and I'm a good example because I have longer limbs.
Mm-hmm.
When I do a barbell bench press, I'm holding the barbell. If I was to go down,
to touch your chest,
to touch the chest with the bar, my elbows and shoulders get way far back.
Yeah, they're very. It's past his safe range of motion.
Whereas someone, if they just happen to have short upper arm limb, and they're typically stocky or shorter, and they'll bench press and it goes right to a perfect angle with the bar touching their chest. And that's where the sport of it gets very iffy because, and you'll notice certain body types end up lending themselves to certain sports.
They excel, man.
If someone with really short limbs, they're going to have a lot of stuff in their favor with powerlifting because they don't have to go as far and get into riskier positions.
Yeah.
So with a dumbbell, there's no bar to be this has to touch my chest. So you're able to get your proper range of motion. Your elbows, wrists kind of have freedom, so you're not fixed on a fixed grip. And ultimately it's going to be better for your shoulder and elbow health.
Yeah, because if you're getting fixed into a position with the barbell that just doesn't fit you, and you're in a kind of a compromising position, well, now you have a heavy bar, and you're in a compromised position, and you're going into, an end range of motion. That's real risky to do. And then too, dumbbells are safer to bail with as well. Mm-hmm. You can do them by yourself. You just, if you can't do a rep, you let them go to the side and you're good. You're lifting by yourself with the barbell. I think everyone's seen the videos where you got to do the roll of shame, where you have to roll the barbell down your stomach, down your legs, and hope that you can get it off of you. Mm-hmm. Or even, everyone's seen videos of where someone drops a bar on their neck. It's just inherently safer with dumbbells as well for most people and untrained people to do.
And then it also helps promote muscle symmetry, because you got individual hands.
Yeah, each arm has to do the same job.
So dumbbell bench press. Then for the pull, single arm row. So you could do with the dumbbell or kettlebell, milk jug. But again, the benefit with dumbbell type row, one, it's going to be super progressible. Mm-hmm. 2 is, like we said, it's going to target the pulling, so your back muscles, biceps, and your core. Since it's one arm at a time, you kind of have an element of anti-rotation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're having to stabilize.
Mm-hmm. So, and then it just carries over so well into bending and lifting and carrying things in real life.
Mm-hmm. And just like the dumbbell bench, you have that freedom of motion at the shoulder, the elbow, and the wrist. Mm-hmm. So you can pull in what is an optimal plane or direction for you. Whereas if we compare it to the classic bent over barbell row, which for one, most people have a hard time holding that position anyways. You're hinged back and you're holding a barbell in front of you, but you're fixed, just like the bench press.
Mm-hmm.
So it might not be a very good arm path for you based on your shoulder mobility or limb length or whatever, and the dumbbell or kettlebell allow the freedom to kind of take that arm wherever it needs to go.
Yeah. And most people just don't do any pulling.
No.
You know, so, but yeah, barbell bent over row, it again is a better option. And then you have like, you know, chin ups, but if you can't do chin ups,
which is a pretty advanced
you're
move.
super limited. And then the one arm row, you can do it standing, you know, kind of kneeling,
Hand on a bench.
All you really need is some dumbbells or what, you know, weight to then progress with. And that's going to knock out
It's the back.
your pulling. And then you have your hinge. So we like a trap bar deadlift or kettlebell deadlift. One of the main reasons being with both of those, the weight is centered kind of to your body, whereas with the barbell, it's out in front of you a little bit, which has its pros too. You know, a little more emphasis on the posterior chain, but that comes with
There's also the risks.
the risks, right? And the reality is now there's been enough studies and tests and anecdotal situations and evidence, you know, for a gym pop person and for a high level athlete, trap bar deadlift wins.
It's the winner.
Because of that centered weight, even like plyometrics, they've even compared it to like snatches and power lifts, and the trap bar deadlift helps you
Generate force.
improve your power and force the same as those, but without the risk of the catch portion. So
yeah, it's like the same movement as like if you were to jump. It's very, very similar to that explosive movement. So it's just a lot more natural. And same thing, it kind of helps people develop their speed when sprinting too. You know, it is a two-leg movement, but just that path you take, it just is more, I hate to use the word functional,
Yeah.
you know, like, but it does carry over pretty well to movements we do often.
yeah, and for us and most of our clients, yeah, the main goal is to have the capability and confidence of picking something up off the ground.
Yeah.
You know, that's really what you're training, which is a hinge movement. And yeah, you want to limit the risk as much as possible and just be able to, that's what you're after, right? Now, if you do a sport that requires you to pick a straight bar off of the floor, like powerlifting.
Then you got to pick up a straight bar.
Yeah, or CrossFit, or well, really those would be it.
Yeah.
Olympic lifting. Powerlifting, CrossFit, Olympic lifting, if you don't compete in those things.
If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's one scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
You typically want to choose a trap bar or even we'll start people on a kettlebell. So the weight, again, is very centered.
Yeah, it's like right between the feet.
It's a little higher because of the handle on top of the bell. And people are just very much, they're more confident with it. And again, the weight's way centered, so it feels better. To me personally, like, yeah, nothing feels better than deadlifting a kettlebell. Just you feel real strong and confident. So yeah, those are going to be good options for your hinge, lower body type.
And then
movement.
too, with those, they're they're more accessible in that, like, they're easier to set up for most people. Whereas, like, a trap bar has handles on the side, so you're just reaching down by your sides versus having to reach in front of you for a straight bar deadlift. And what we found, most people have a way easier time getting started with the movement. Whereas if somebody's not, fit to do a straight bar deadlift, and you just keep like working and working and working on their mobility and their positioning, it might be a few months before they can even do a straight bar deadlift.
Yeah.
So you've wasted all of that time where they could have been picking up a trap bar and rocking and rolling and getting stronger and getting a little bit more mobile in the process, instead of having to learn a straight bar.
Yeah, again, the benefits of, putting less stress on your lumbar spine versus a barbell deadlift. If you are someone who has had a history of back issues, that's going to be important. And then, like Will just described, there's just less technical proficiency required to do a trap bar deadlift. They're easier to learn, which, is important.
Yeah.
Because when people with limited time, you may not, be able to have time. It could take 2 or 3 hours a week of technique work to figure certain things out. And that's really your entire training time.
Yeah, that's what most people train in a week. So imagine you have to do that for, I don't know, a month or so before you can even actually get a full training session in with other stuff. Like, it's just
the reality is most people would get frustrated.
Yeah, the training economy is not there. Like, it's not a good use of people's time. So finding things that are more accessible and a good use of somebody's time so that they can actually just get in the work that they need, rather than, if you're learning a freaking barbell snatch and you've never done anything before, well, it's going to be 6 months before you can do any weight probably.
Yeah.
And how is that a good use of this person's time that I'm training? So that's something to consider too, is that, is this even worth it? Do they even care about the move? And if they don't, do something that they can do well.
Yep. And the reality is most sports, even strength sports, with all the technical proficiency required, most people start those when they're kids,
Yeah,
So
most people start young.
And that's when we learn way easier. There's less fear, so you look at, Olympic lifting and gymnastics. Yeah.
Especially now, man. People start real young these days.
So keep that in mind. Then knee bends. Squat, we could
give 2 for a knee bend.
Yeah, we like a split squat. You could even go goblet squat, but there's some cool benefits to doing some single leg work. And again, in reality, you can do both, but we just want to have all these 4. But yeah, split squat, and depending on your stance, it can kind of bias certain regions, but in general, you're hitting everything: quads, hamstrings, glutes, calves. And since it's single leg, there's going to be a balance core,
which is very important
portion.
For people.
Also, when you think about it from a functional standpoint, we are typically always on one leg, when you're walking or running. So most of the time, and again, unless you're doing a sport like powerlifting where you have to squat, that's bilateral by nature, we really don't do a ton of bilateral, 2-leg in that same type.
No, we're always moving for the most part.
And then with the trap, say you're, doing these things we talked about, well, you're also getting some bilateral lower body work from the deadlift.
Yeah.
So we like to pair it with the split squat, and then you can kind of bring your foot a little closer and have more knee bend, and that's going to help bias the quads some more. But yeah, and then the other cool thing is it's very progressible in 2 ways, from obviously you can add weight, but also in your progression with if you were using no weight. So you could start with, just on the floor with your feet split apart. You could elevate your front foot, which can make it a little easier, and also put a little more bias on your quads. Then you can also eventually elevate your back foot. So you have a lot of options with it.
Yeah. And then, with working on a single leg, if you ask most average people that maybe don't work out, their balance isn't good. And we hear it all the time. People are like, oh, my balance sucks, before we do something like a split squat. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's why we're doing it, because most of us don't have the best balance, and it's good to work on. And it's even more important as we get older, because what happens when we get old? People fall, and without resistance training in general, you don't have the bone density. So being able to work on this, I always think about it as an investment for the future. I don't want to be the person when I'm 85 that falls and then unfortunately, for a lot of people, like that's kind of the downward slope. So, more so than even right now, like it's a good thing to have for the future. And, for a lot of people we train, they're in their 50s, 60s. Like it's very important for them to do.
Yeah.
So don't think that, I don't have good balance, I can't do these. The whole reason to do them is to improve your balance.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not something to shy away from, but you may need to take it slow. For some people, that may involve even like holding on to something. Like maybe your body weight's a little bit too much. Well, like put your hand on the counter at home or wherever you're at and kind of use that to help you a little bit. And then you can progress to no help and then maybe adding some weight and then going from there. But don't think that because your balance isn't good that these aren't for you.
Yeah. And then the reality is these 4 exercises, going to cover everything, provide resistance to your body, which is going to help you maintain or build lean tissue.
Yep.
Not just muscle, but also keep your joints, ligaments, all that, bone health, bone density. And if you pair it with, let's see here. The WHO, the World Health Organization.
The WHO? That's a band.
As far as like, what's a prescription of activity to kind of get the effective dose.
What you need.
Of what you need for health and fitness. If you're resistance training twice a week with movements involving all major muscle groups, boom.
That we just described.
Yeah, check that box. So you do these things, twice a week. And then get 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic physical activity, which then they break it down into METs. But essentially that level of activity they're talking about would be equivalent to a brisk walk. So, and what is that? The minimum 150 minutes.
So that would be.
So 20 minutes, 7 days a week?
140.
Boom. So
if you walk 20 minutes every day.
Yep. And you're
hitting that.
These exercises twice a week, you're good. You're golden.
Yeah.
And we know that 95% of goals.
You can get like a workout like that done in really like 40 minutes, maybe even 30 really.
Yeah.
So let's call it an hour and 20 minutes total of like resistance training time. And then you have your 150 minutes of walking. Spread across an entire week. It's not a lot of time, percentage-wise. So
we could even factor in the walking you can do from your house.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll even say you're doing 2 45-minute workouts, and you have 15 minutes of drive time both ways.
Okay.
So, because
that's what
that way we
2.5 hours.
So you're looking at 2 hours a week of drive time to get to the gym to do your strength. Then the workout's an hour and a half, so that's 3.5. And then
that's an hour of drive time.
Oh yeah, 15 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes a day.
So hour of drive time, hour and a half of training. Yeah, so 2.5 hours, and then 150 minutes of walking.
So that's 300 minutes.
300 minutes a week.
So it's 150 minutes of resistance training in your week, and then 150 minutes of walking.
So that's 5 hours.
Boom.
300 divided by 60.
Out of how many?
5 hours out of
168. That's all we're asking, man.
And we'll even, if you're getting your 8 hours of sleep, so subtract 56.
112.
112 available hours.
And we're asking for 5.
For 5. 5 in
across the week.
The crazy thing is, this is what we want people to get across. Like, you don't need 1,000 exercises. You need 4.
Yeah. That's it.
If you take the walking plus the training, and tripled it, you're not tripling
your results
and your progress.
No.
Actually, most of the difference is going to then be made in how your nutrition, But that's it, And you can even double that, and it's not that crazy, right? You double that with the resistance training, and that's just an extra hour, hour and a half. And you could even, the drive time. So, but the reality is, you want to find a doable amount, because the whole point now and the key is that you can do this for the next, not just month, not just year, not just decade, but rest of your life. So when you break it down like that, then it should be. Then it's again going to come down to priorities, right? Because you'll be able to carve that out.
I guarantee everybody has that time, and we've gone over that too, like the time we spend on our phones and doing other things that don't really add much to our day. Like, you have the time, and it's just having the priority to do it.
Yeah. And realize too, you want to balance. Yeah, there is some entertainment, and you want to get bored, but you also don't want to just do stuff
for entertainment only.
Yeah, to do stuff, because there's things that are just effective, right? Like, again, easy thing that we always compare it to, like, look at brushing your teeth and flossing. It's like, how much
excitement can you generate?
You know, and how the same thing's been around for a while because it works the best. It's most sustainable and doable, and that's how exercise is. Don't fall for a lot of this stuff where it's just like all this made up stuff, new, flashy. The reality is, we took these 4 exercises, and then the reality is most of the other good exercises, great to good exercises, are very similar. Like we said, it could be different, instead of a dumbbell bench press, it's a machine press, or even a barbell bench press,
or a seated cable row.
Yeah, you're going to notice, they're all kind of the same, just maybe using different equipment or machines. So then when you get into like a lot of this just wild stuff, people like bouncing on a Bosu ball with someone throwing a medicine ball at them while they're trying to squat, it's like, no, just do a goblet squat. Just do a split squat. It's tried and true. It's safer, it's more stable. You're going to be able to progress better. And so there's really like a small handful of exercises. Again, then when you break down how our body responds, what we actually need for our health and fitness, 2 days a week, covering all muscle groups with resistance, and what essentially works out to a 20-minute walk a day.
That's it. And heck, you could even break down your walk
to 2 walks.
2 10-minute walks.
You could go that way, 2 10-minute walks within a day, or 2 1-hour walks within a week.
Yeah.
We'll be close. 120. So,
Yeah, that would be close enough.
And there you are.
Yeah, so it's really not that much.
You don't have to, you don't have to, like, track and do, I got to do this certain amount of hit and this and that and this zone and that zone and all. No, just go for a brisk walk and have some resistance in your life.
That's it. That's all.
Yep.
Maybe a bike ride every now and then if you like to do it, but it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like, you don't have to do all the wild stuff.
Yeah.
If at the end of the day that's what you truly enjoy, then more power to you, but it's not what you have to do.
Yeah. And me personally, it's just a notch above that minimum effective dose. I strength train 3 days a week for 45 minutes. And I typically, when the weather's favorable, will walk about 45 minutes a day, It's like dedicated. So, the walk is like double, and the strength training is like just 1.5 times up. And I'll go where I strength train 4 times some, but I'll end up at 3. I've done 2 for a while as well.
Yeah.
But so you want to find what's sustainable for you. And the reality is, don't start at, the extreme most possible, because
6 days a week.
Again, triple the exercise will not mean triple the results. It's super diminishing.
Or they come 3 times as fast. This doesn't work that way either.
Yeah. Really, it slows things down.
Yeah,
because your recovery is going to be
your recovery. For a lot of people, the motivation to even show up. So then, is there consistency even there? So that's the hard part about the 6 days a week. Which
you have to get into. Well, now it's taking away time from maybe your time to plan and prepare your meals.
Yeah, or your sleep, or your recovery. Like, all that stuff is affected when you're training 6 days a week. And maybe like some people will do like 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. Like, that's a lot of time.
So there you are. There's 4 exercises we like for everyone.
And why?
And if you came to our gym, Coastal Strength and Fitness,
you're doing all of them, baby.
Throughout the week, a good dose of them.
All of them. Like, yesterday we did dumbbell bench and split squats. And we did a pull down variation. But anyways,
work those puppies in.
And if you've been doing stuff like you've been doing some barbell lifts and you're like, man, like my shoulders are always hurting or my elbows, jacked up, it might be a good alternative if you're not a weightlifting sport type person. Just try the dumbbell variations or try a trap bar deadlift. it may be the thing that helps you lift without pain, or progress better, or feel better about your lift. So, give them a shot.
All right. Let us know what you think. Do you have a favorite exercise? Is it one of those?
Yeah. What's your go-to variation for all of those? Let us know.
Hit us up. If you hate all of them,
Yeah. If you want a beef, then
let us know.
let's do it.
We'll just jazzercise.
We got it.
All right. Well, we appreciate you for listening.
Yep. We'll see you next time. As always, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn more, check us out at coastalfitnessva.com or garydeagle.com. We'll see you next time.